It had been 3 months since the last blade was drawn between the warriors of Eriador and the Amazons of Theralis. The narrow valley where blood once soaked the earth was now green again, a quiet corridor of peace patrolled not by enemies, but by former foes. Captain Roran stood beside the northern watchtower, staring out across the valley. At the far end, Amazon riders passed by on horseback, their banners fluttering in the wind. Among them, he spotted her, Valka. Her sharp gaze swept the horizon until it met his. She raised 2 fingers in a silent salute. Roran answered with a nod. Much had changed since the treaty. The Corridor of Peace was now home to the Dawn Accord, a joint settlement shared by men and Amazons. Houses were built with IRA Dorian stonework and Amazonian timbercraft. Shared farms, shared watchtowers, and, more hesitantly, shared stories. But not everyone embraced the peace. In the shadows of the eastern forests, a group of rogue warriors, IRA Dorian deserters and Amazon exiles, refused to accept the union. Calling themselves the Broken Blades, they believed peace was a betrayal. And now, they prepared for war. Inside the Accord Central Hall, Roran stood across a large map table from General Morella, who had arrived earlier that day. She wore ceremonial leathers and a dagger at her hip, not as a weapon, but as tradition. "We have reports," Roran said, frowning. A small Amazon village east of the Accord was raided last night. No survivors. Mirella's jaw tightened. "They are sending a message." "I know, but who are they sending it to?" Mirella glanced at the map. "To us. Both of us. They are trying to shatter what we built. They think violence will restore what they believe was taken." Valka entered the room, her face grim. "We can't let them march on the Accord." "They are still few," Roran said. "Maybe 60. "They'll have more by dawn," Mirella replied. "We strike first, before they reach the heart." For a moment, silence settled among them. Then Roran spoke. "We ride tonight." The combined strike force of Eriador and Theralis warriors moved through the valley like a single great serpent. Horses from the north, fast-footed Amazon from the south. Roran and Mirella led side by side. It was a sight no one thought they'd see, a man and a woman, once enemies, commanding an army together. As they neared the eastern ridge, Valka stepped ahead, her curved blades drawn. "They've dug into the ravine," she said. "Trenches, barriers. They expect a siege." "Then we won't give them one," Roran said. "We split. I take the ridge. Mirella, the left flank. Valka, cut through their center. Disrupt them before they react." Valka grinned. Finally, a real fight. The night erupted in chaos. Roran's men slid down the ridge like shadows, blades gleaming. Arrows rained from the high ground as the Amazon warriors charged the trenches, their war cries fierce and echoing. Valka moved like fire through grass, fast, lethal, unstoppable. She struck with precision, disabling enemies with strikes to the legs, arms, throat. She didn't kill unless she had to. From the center, Roran saw a group of IRA Dorian deserters regrouping with ex-Amazons. He charged them. A heavy axe came swinging from the right. He ducked, rolled, came up slashing. The deserter fell. Another tried to stab from behind, but a javelin took him through the shoulder. Roran turned. Mirella stood behind him, blood on her cheek, no hesitation in her eyes. "Watch your back, Captain," she said. "I had faith you'd have it," he replied with a grin. The battle raged for less than an hour, but by the end, the Broken Blades were broken again. Their leaders slain, their camps burned, their movement shattered. At sunrise, the field was quiet. Fires had died down, and wounded were being treated, on both sides. Amazons and Iridorians shared water, bandages, and even laughter. The bond that had once been forged by treaty was now forged in bloodshed shared. Valka approached Roran, a gash across her arm, a smile on her face. You fight better when we're not trying to kill each other, she said. Likewise, you saved me back there. I'm starting to think you enjoy being saved by me. He chuckled, then grew serious. Peace always has a price, doesn't it? Valka looked out at the field. It does, but sometimes it's worth paying. Later, at the central hall, Marilla stood before the people, Amazon and Ira Doran alike. Let today be remembered not as another war, she said, voice strong, but as proof that peace is not weakness, that strength lies not just in battle, but in standing together when others try to tear us apart. Roran stepped forward. We lost good warriors tonight, men and women who could have chosen hate, but they stood for something greater, for unity, for hope. Let the accord live, let it grow, and let it be guarded, not just with swords, but with trust. The crowd roared, not with rage, but with pride. That night, Roran found Valka watching the stars from atop the accord wall. You could have left, he said, after the battle. So could you. He sat beside her. Silence lingered before she spoke again. I used to think men would never understand us, that they only wanted power. And I was told Amazons wanted nothing but war. They exchanged a look, then smiled. We were both wrong, she said. Maybe that's why we're still alive. A cool wind blew through the valley. Below them, lights flickered across the settlement. Not torches of war, but of peace, of shared meals, of rebuilding. Valka looked at him. You still fight like a hammer. And you still fight like lightning. Good, she said, because I'll need you when the real war comes. Roran raised a brow. You think this isn't the end? It's a beginning, she whispered, of something bigger. He nodded slowly. Then we face it together. She offered her hand, not as a warrior, not as a rival, but as something more. He took it, and in that grip